My friends call me Jerry. I thought I needed a new battery, but it was an alternator.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Good Share Podcast with Ryan and Ice. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Ice.
All right.
Almost forgot.
You almost forgot that time.
Well, as you know, we got a little long-winded on the last episode talking about records that we really like on a sonic level as well as an emotional level. So we just decided to split it up into two episodes. So this is part 2. We hope you enjoy.
And here we go.
I've got like 3 records left, but I'm just going to mention them and people can check them out. I'm not going to talk too much about them.
Okay. I've kind of got that too.
Okay.
I've got like 2.
Okay.
But there's only the one that you and I both love equally, I think. And I'm going to save that one for my last one.
Yeah, that's fine.
So one of them is don't nobody shoot me.
I know what you're gonna say.
I know. Okay. Nickelback.
I do not approve of this. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
What is the name of that?
Oh, I have no. Don't ask me.
So, okay, it's the Nickelback record that Mutt Lange produced.
Let me look it up here. Gosh, I can't believe I'm going to type this into my Apple Music.
It's now it's going to be a suggested search for you from now until eternity. Google's got their tracking claws on you. So yeah, Nickelback quarterback. No, I don't know.
Nickelback. Oh, is it called All the Right Reasons?
Is that what it is with the giant horseshoe?
Giant horseshoe.
Yeah, that's what I remember as the artwork as being like a horseshoe.
Oh, we're talking about. I thought you were going to talk about a different record. I thought you were going to talk about the one that was like had "Follow You Home" and animals on it and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think that was it, wasn't it?
Well, that's All the Right Reasons. The next record is the one that has the horseshoe. I don't know who produced them.
Dark Horse.
Dark Horse, yeah. Okay, that's not the one that has all the songs.
That's Mutt Lange. Mutt Lange's on that.
But Mutt Lange is on Dark Horse. What? You're right. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know this record.
Okay, so
I mean, I don't know. I don't really know any Nickelback record, but if I knew one, it would be the one before that.
I'm sorry. I should have looked this up before.
That's all right.
Nickelback. I was not. Nickelback, Dark Horse. That record. The reason I like that record is because it's the same reason I like the Shania Twain record. It's the same reason I like the Def Leppard record. That's the reason I like that Nickelback record is because of that. Because Mutt Lange has this thing with producing. Oh gosh, I said this to you, and now I can't remember the guy's name again. Hold on, director of.
Dude, while you're looking that up,
yeah.
Speaking of Mutt Lange, I just watched this YouTube video about a production trick he does on a lot of records, but I think he did it on some old AC/DC records for a snare drum sound. And I've been meaning to talk to you about this, but we'll just do it on the podcast. Why not?
Yeah.
And he used to do it in an analog way. Okay. Back in the day.
All right.
He would run 100 hertz tone. Okay. Like on a separate reel.
Yep. A tone generator. Yep. Right.
And, I forget what, just like a white noise sound. Okay. And they would just be running. And then he would I'm trying to think how he did it. Sidechain.
He sidechained a gate.
He sidechained a gate on the snare drum channel. So those noises would only open up
when
some of those the AC/DC record Back in Black. Did he do that one? Yeah, he did that one, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And maybe he did more. All right, like any of those big records where it was kind of like a big fatter stadium sounding snare drum sound. You tune in the drum low and everything, but the drum itself can't just produce that noise. So they're layering that under that 100 hertz tone is kind of giving it like that low frequency like honkiness, and then
Yeah.
the white noise is like giving it more snariness, but it's making
Yeah.
it bigger and fatter. It was really interesting. This guy on YouTube like did a thing, because now that's really easy to do like in a DAW.
Oh
you
man.
know? But he was doing it back in the day with all analog equipment.
Oh my gosh.
But that was like
That's quite a setup to do
one of the
that.
secrets to like his snare drum sound.
Oh, that's brilliant. See, now for me,
he can
I
do
have
that, but he
this-
can't pay his taxes. Oh, I'm just kidding. I don't even know that whole story.
So, so what I do is I add this filter on my on the snare called sub filter, and it just punches some bottom in, and you can just select what range you want, and it does. It makes quite the difference on snare drum. It sounds nice.
What I do is just tune the snare drum low and record it, and then I send him the stem and say, "Here, do whatever you want with that."
Do whatever you want with that. So you're right. Mutt Lange was on Back in Black.
Okay. Did he do Highway to Hell too? The record before that with Bon Scott.
Let me see.
I mean, it doesn't matter. It's just become listen to Ryan and Ice research things on Google.
Yeah, listen, Ryan and Ice Google search. Live Google search. Only at Good Share Podcast. Okay, so I didn't find anything on that. Not to say
Well,
that
that's fine. What was the record? Who were you looking up?
Yeah, so Nickelback, Dark Horse, right? So, like I said, the reason I really like that is because of all these other things Mutt Lange's produced. And if Mutt Lange was a filmmaker, he would be, without a doubt, in my opinion, Michael Bay.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I forgot we had that conversation. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That is my thing. Like, you go to the movies, right? And you want to watch Transformers, and you don't really care much about story. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not saying you. I'm saying the royal you.
Yeah, I know.
I know.
The
I know how
editorial.
you feel.
I know what you're saying.
You want to go on a ride. I mean,
Yes.
that's the idea. It's an amusement park, right? So, in my opinion, Mutt Lange is the Michael Bay of audio. It's a musical ride, man. It's fun. Is so much energy.
So it's like it's like a nonstop action film
for your ears.
with little substance, but in music form.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a good comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's energetic. It's hyped. Right.
Yeah, right.
It's super freaking hyped, but you don't care because it's just good. It's fun.
Yeah.
So that's what I like.
Sure.
That's what I like about that. And I think there is 100% a place for it, obviously, because he's made a massive career. But that's the thing I really dig about that. Okay, so that takes care of that one, and then you
judgment
have.
here.
Okay.
I mean,
All right.
here's the thing. I'm not a Nickelback fan. I can honestly say I'm not a Nickelback fan. But everyone dogs on them like, oh, I hate them. They're the worst band ever. But don't they sell out like arenas? Like,
Yeah.
people somewhere are buying their records and going to their
Yep.
shows, you know? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. Well, so I'll just breeze through these last few here.
And I've got another breeze through,
You want to do it quick?
just so you know.
Or you want me to
no,
do it?
No,
Okay.
you do yours.
So there's this band out of, I guess, England. And it's really not a band. It's like, I think it's like two producers. But they're called 07. And they just kind of, they make records, but they have all these different kind of like special guest singers and guest artists and stuff. But there are two records in particular, When It Falls and Simple Things. And both of those records sound amazing. And most of it's like super mellow. Like, for example, when I'm on a bus, when we're on the road, which I don't even remember what that's like, but you know, it's like loud. Anyone who's never slept on a bus, it can be loud in your bunk.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I always sleep with earbuds in. Those two records are my go-to records to put in and just barely have audio going to like fall asleep to, because they're so mellow. They have this very like warm, silky quality to the way they sound.
So how are they? A synth or what?
I mean, it's a lot of different things. There's a lot of live musicians. It's a lot of
okay.
Fender Rhodes, Whirly, drum kit,
gotcha.
bass. But there are things that definitely that would fall into more like EDM, but not like but like kind of like synth driven stuff with loops and things like that. But it's just real chill, vibey. I hate the word vibey, but that's what it is. Like, it's good stuff, man. Like if you need, it's a great way to, like, when I'm on a bus after a show, it's midnight, I'm going to bed and I need to decompress because like maybe my I'm still like excited, you know, wow, we just played a show, it was great. And I need to just put that in, man. Just try and lay still. Like it's
I'm listening down to When It Falls right now, and it's super freaking mellow, and it sounds great.
Dude, are you listening to the first song?
When It Falls is one it just says When It Falls.
Oh, pull up that record, because those are the title of the records. And the first song on When It Falls is Warm Sound.
That might be what this is.
Okay.
It's electric piano, Rhodes.
Yeah.
And it's oscillating, or it's got, it's got
yeah. Oh yeah, it's got kind of like a 30-second intro. Are there drums playing now?
Yeah, it's real light.
Okay. Yeah. And there's
like
a bass
guitar part that's kind of like howling in the background, sort of.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I like that.
There comes B3. A little bit of B3. Oh, this is cool. I had no idea this was even a thing.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Very cool. Yeah, I think maybe get a little bit of that going on under us right now would be cool.
Yeah. Well, let's play Warm Sound, because I love that song.
Warm Sound? Yeah.
They're very cool. Like, another good word would be like, some of the stuff is like real trancey. Like,
yeah,
it's a lot of like the same kind of rhythmic melodic motif over and over again. But it's just like real. It's like a very zen thing. I'm just gonna hit this microphone again. It's in my way. Anyway, yeah, that's just one of my quick mentions. And if anybody out there is interested, like, go check this stuff out.
Yeah,
that's why I don't want to play too many examples. I want people to actually go. Like, if you're interested in it, go check it out,
right,
and support those artists.
Yeah, it's not that we can't. We're just choosing to
give them a stream on whatever. Like, give them a millionth of a cent.
Yeah,
something.
Give them just a moment of your attention.
Yeah,
because these guys. I mean, we put a lot into this, and a lot of time it goes into it. There's a lot of people involved.
Yeah.
So just a little bit of your time goes a long way. Okay,
right,
so you have another.
I've got two more, and I'll be quick about them. Sorry, they're the two. Well, the one is like the most important one, but the other one is pretty good too. But I'll just be quick about them. But go ahead, do one.
Okay, Foo Fighters. I think one of the best rock bands of all time. Not only because they're incredible, but because of what appears to be their attitude. Dave Grohl, his attitude towards, he's one of the coolest, seemingly like one of the coolest artists of all time. But the album, Wasting Light.
Great album.
We talked about that a little bit. That record, holy crap, what a great record. If you've never heard that record, you need to listen to that record. Period.
Recorded in his garage.
Anti-Pro Tools.
Yeah.
On tape, tweaking, like as far as like going in and editing for perfection kind of bullshit. What a great record, man. Gosh, so talented.
Yeah.
So that was that.
Okay.
The little story about that. That you were telling me when they were doing that record.
From the documentary?
Yeah, I think that was fun.
Okay. It was just funny. There's just a scene where I think it's Butch Vig who is producing, and Taylor Hawkins and Dave. And it's just this little snippet where like Butch is sitting at the console and Taylor and Dave are on the couch. And if you know Taylor, I mean, I don't know him personally, but if you know him, like he's a very high energy type of person, and he's like real amped about whatever song they're listening to. He's like, wouldn't it be cool if like they had like these big open, I don't remember exactly what he's talking about, but he's like, it's big, like open sounding drums. And then as soon as the guitars come in, we like fade into like really tight, close sounding drums. And he's like going on. And meanwhile, Dave is just sitting on the couch and he's got like a hat kind of over his eyes and just doing this. And he goes, he's just like, yeah, wouldn't it be cool if we had a big bucket of KFC right now? Which is, I mean, that's amazing. Which they're definitely, I mean, you know, I've never been at their level and probably never will be, but I can say from my experience in making records, there are days when it feels like that. It's like, I don't care how good the idea is that somebody's telling me, it's like, I'm so sick of listening to this song. I don't care about it at all. Like, wouldn't it be cool if we could just get out of here? You know? So yeah,
so true.
It was a good story.
That group, man, they're so freaking good. So they're worth every bit of your time. And check out the documentary if you haven't seen that.
I believe it's called Back and Forth. It's real good.
I think I started at one point, but never got to finish it.
It was on Netflix for a while. It might still be, but I have it if you ever want to borrow it. I mean, you can't, but
you can't. I've got it though.
Yeah, if you want to borrow it, I've got it, but you can't.
Okay, that's mine. Or I've got one more, which is my biggie. But
okay, well, I'll do these two because I think your last one is what started this podcast idea.
It is.
We both agree on that one. I'm going to say one, and it's actually good because it's along the same lines as that Wasting Light record, which is one of my favorite bands from high school. It still is. 311, Transistor. I know they have a lot of records. The fan base is always divided on what record is the best. I'm not saying this record is the best. I'm saying it is my favorite. I love it because I think up until maybe a few years ago, they still tracked to tape, which this record is from 1997, so it's not new by any means. But if you listen to it, like if you want to talk about human performance as close to perfection as possible, like rhythmically and things like that, dude, find me another band that is like as precise as them. Are you listening right now or what?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No.
Oh, I know you're listening to me, but are you playing? Oh. It looked like you were listening to something.
No.
Okay. Anyway, like, I just sonically, like, 311 has a sound, but then on that record, I feel like they got kind of experimental too, to where every song sounds like a 311 song, but every song also kind of has its own like sonic thumbprint.
Mm-hmm.
And man, like I find that they always pick like interesting harmonies, whether it's between the two guitar players or between the vocals. Like, I don't know, everyone has a band that they still love from high school, and that's probably mine. And I'm not embarrassed about it because some people dog on them like, oh, there's like just weird like reggae, ska, hip hop, funk, rap band from Omaha. And now they live in LA or whatever. And it's like, well, I don't care. Like they're really good musicians. I think the talent of their musicianship goes far greater than what the general, like people who've heard like two songs think that they're capable of, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. But I love that record that's a very nostalgic record for me. But I also just love sonically. It's like, man, it's so there are things I'm still trying to figure out how to do, like drum wise. So like, how do I get my snare drum to sound like that? Or how whatever, like whether it's from like an actual drum standpoint or like how I'm miking it or EQing it or whatever. Like, I don't know.
I'm listening to some of the stuff now. I didn't realize that was 311. Like some of these songs.
Oh, are you listening to Transistor record?
I'm listening to, I don't know. All I know is this particular song is called Down.
Oh yeah. That's like the most popular. That's off the record before.
Yeah. Like I had no idea that was even.
Yeah. And like that record is really good. If I had to pick a second, I'd probably pick that one. That's a little more it's not. I think some people feel like Transistor is too slick, like it's too produced.
Really?
Compared to like the stuff before it, which yeah, maybe it is, but I don't think it's like too produced in a bad way. I think they got really into trying things, and it just, I don't know. I think it sounds great.
Boy, that snare does sound really good. I'm listening to track 1 off Transistor.
Listen to track number 2. Listen to Prisoner. Okay. And when it drops down to just bass and drums, listen to how you can hear how tight the snares are cranked against the bottom head and how they're like buzzing. Because, you know, he plays a really tight, high-pitched snare drum, and he's playing like only this far in on the head. But when it drops down to just bass and drums in that groove,
oh, yeah,
you can hear that like ring, ring, that like weird thing that everyone else would want to like get out of a mix.
Right.
And it's right there. And I love that.
Yeah, super present. I'll be darned, man.
It sounds so good.
This is so different than the previous album.
Right? Right. Yeah.
I'll be darned, man.
It sounds so good, man. Another one that's good is Use of Time. I love that song too. Anyway, and then the last one I'm gonna say before you do your last one is it's a Jerry Douglas record from 2005 called The Best Kept Secret.
Yeah.
Which, if you don't know Jerry Douglas, he's a dobro player.
Monster.
He plays steel too, right? Like
he does. Yeah, but he's best known for his dobro role or playing Resonator with Alison Krauss in
the Union Station.
Union Station, yeah.
But he's had his own solo career on the side for a long time, and that record. I don't know if it was like I got into that record at a very just the right time in my life. I had just moved to Nashville. I had just found out who Shannon Forrest is. I was like just learning who all these different like Nashville quote unquote A-listers are or whatever. But that record has a lot of good special guests. It's mostly instrumental, but there are a few tunes with vocals. Alison Krauss is on a tune. Oh my gosh, who's the guy from Creedence Clearwater Revival? I can't even think of his name. John Fogerty.
John Fogerty, yeah.
He's on a tune, but it's Shannon Forrest on drums, and I love the way everything on the record sounds. I love that the record is like mostly acoustic driven. Like there's some electric guitar and stuff, but there's a lot of fiddle. There's a lot of like traditional like country instruments. Like there's dobro, there's steel, there's banjo. I think even on most of the tunes, it's upright bass. It's not electric bass. And then it's Shannon on drums. And like, there's a lot of other reasons I like the record, but if for no other reason, I love that record because of the drum sound. Because it just sounds like drums in a really good sounding room with, obviously a really good player in a really good sounding room with like the right microphones and the right preamps. And they just went, yeah, that's a sound, print it. Like I don't hear a whole lot of extraneous compression or EQ, or I don't think there's any samples, none of that stuff, man. Like it's just like you hear what his kit sounded like in that room on those couple days.
Yeah.
And to me, it's not always stylistically appropriate for everything you do, but like if I could pick one drum sound that I would want to go after, like that I'm always trying to get, it's that. It's like, how do I make my drums sound the best in this room and then capture that in my computer with doing the least amount possible?
Right.
Less
moving parts.
I just love that record. That's a desert island record for me.
That's a fantastic sounding record.
Be like in the top 5.
It is a great sounding record. I didn't even know it existed till you told me about it.
I think actually my father-in-law had bought it on iTunes and then made me a copy, and he was like, "You might like this." And boy was he right. So
that's funny,
there you go.
Man. Okay, last but not least, right? Last but not least.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and I do want to say one thing, because I'm sure people are going to be like, how could you not pick like any classics and blah, blah, blah. And I will say I had Physical Graffiti by Led Zeppelin on my list. And I mean, you could pick like any Led Zeppelin record or like a Beatles record or a Stones record, but I think everybody picks those records, and not that they don't sound good, but I wanted to pick more like some records that were a little more personal for me that maybe people didn't know about.
Right. And make people, others aware that there are other very good.
Yeah. And they're not all like, I feel like all the records we picked don't all have the same characteristics sonically, but we still find them sonically pleasing.
Yeah. I think they're all over. They just have different little things about them that make them spectacular.
Yeah.
In our opinion.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I don't want any haters trolling us.
No. Last but not least, Jackson Browne, Naked Ride Home.
Yes.
Holy crap. What a freaking great record.
That's the record we had the conversation about that gave us the idea to have this podcast.
Yep, that is the one. This guy, I didn't know anything about him until my mother helped me discover Jackson Browne. She really liked his music and things that he had written. And I don't remember the name of that's what I was trying to find, is the name of the record that she turned me on to. But it was a record before Naked Ride Home, or a few records before that.
It wasn't like one of his more classics, like from the Pretender.
It may have been. I'm just looking around here trying to find an album cover that I remember. Anyways, so I listened. No, it was Running on Empty.
Running on Empty. That's the other one I was just going to ask you about. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
But it had that on it. It had several other really I mean, every song on that record was pretty much non-filler, right?
Yeah.
Like they were all good. It's just which one got the most radio play, depending on how much money was put behind it from the label. But they were all great songs. Jackson Browne, I don't know this for a fact, but I do know that he has written, if not all of his songs, that he has written the majority of all of his songs.
Yeah.
That he's ever cut. He also wrote, the one for the Eagles, Take It Easy. He wrote Take It Easy for the Eagles.
I don't think I knew that. Interesting.
Yeah, he wrote that when he was renting, or was he renting, or did he rent? Man, I don't remember. Anyways, it was when him and Glenn Frey?
Yeah.
The lead singer? Yeah, they were basically roomies, kind of. Like, I think Glenn lived under his apartment, like in the basement or something. And he said he heard Jackson just constantly pounding the piano and singing the same line over and over and over again. And Glenn was like, that's how I learned how to write songs. That's how you write songs. But Jackson Browne, incredibly talented songwriter. I mean, some of his lyrics are so good.
Yeah.
They're so freaking good.
Man, sorry, go ahead.
He says so many things in just a couple of words. That's the thing that blows me away with like his songwriting.
Yeah. Well, I really like on the Naked Ride Home, on that record in particular, like that, and that's the first track too, isn't it? That's the self-titled.
Yep.
He's able to like be a storyteller without sounding like he's like trying to cram every word in to make it work. It sounds so natural.
Yeah.
But it's not, I don't know. I can't describe it. Like he's not singing and it's like abstract. So you have to kind of fill in the pieces. He's giving you all the information, but it doesn't sound like he had to jumble it together to make all the words fit.
Right.
It's like just rolls out.
Yeah. Yeah. His cadence.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's really so good. So that, golly, it's so good. Like the stuff he comes up with is exceptional because he one of the songs I freaking just I love so much is These Days. Have you heard that one from him?
I mean, I'm sure I have, but I don't know if I can tell you how it goes right now.
So it's so good. It's so good. So there's a guitar part that goes up in the front of it, and it's just 1 7 6 5 4 3 2 1. Anyway, it's just a rolling down part. And the guitar music is it's just really good, and it's memorable, and you, as a non-musician and just a listener, I think you can anticipate the movements. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it becomes very familiar quickly. So you know how that works. When
Right.
you're familiar with something, you tend to like it. Anyways, he was sitting in a movie theater, and now he wrote that song These Days, I think when he was 16 or 18 or somewhere around there. And he was sitting in a movie theater years later, and he was watching a movie, and all of a sudden this guitar music came on, and he says, I heard this guitar music, and I was thinking to myself, I used to play something just like that. And here it was, his song in the movie. He had no idea that they even
Oh wow.
got the rights to do it, and it was not like a big deal. He was just surprised. And but like that kind of thing, like his stuff that he does, like it works so well in that format. Like the title track of Naked Ride Home, that drum intro. Mm-hmm. It's funny because that drum intro is used on so many songs.
It's like one of the most common fills ever.
It's the go-to, right?
Yeah.
What is boom da da da?
Is
What
it?
is it?
Is like doom jaka doom. Yeah.
Yes. Right. And but when you hear that drum fill on that record, you know you're listening to that record.
Right. Right.
I hear that drum fill on any other song, it could be any other song.
Yeah.
It could literally be any other Brooks and Dunn song, anything, Big and Rich. It could be anything else. But when you hear that drum fill on that record, you know it's that record and that song. I think it's just as memorable and prominent as the two opening chords to Friends in Low Places.
Wow. That's saying something.
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, when you, man, and then when everybody on that Naked Ride Home, when everybody comes in on downbeat, it's just freaking smoking. It's so good.
Yeah, man, it's attitude right from the very first note. And that's another good example of being a drummer. I key into that first, but like the way the drums sound on that record, man. Like,
oh, the drum sound is so good.
Talk about hearing the room that the drums are in.
Yeah. Now I'm not a drummer, but But you are an engineer,
yeah.
So I'm always like striving to get like because drums are just hard to record. They're hard because you have so many variables.
Right.
You have tons of microphones, tons of things that could be out of phase. The wrong microphone on the wrong thing, or you could just be miking up a drummer that's bad.
Right. And like you have an instrument that covers every frequency.
Yeah.
Like you have lowest of the lows to the highest of the highs. Like,
yeah. So when you hear that record with that drummer on those drums in that room, it's like, holy smokes, that sounds great.
Yeah. And man, you talking about when the band comes in on that first chord, like I'm just thinking about what it sounds like now. Like just even the way that, like the guitar player strums that chord, it's not like he doesn't go so slow that it's like he's arpeggiating the notes. Right. But you kind of hear, you can almost hear like the pick hitting each string, you know, like it's not super clean. Like he didn't strum it super fast.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, like.
Yeah, it's got that nice, it's the same kind of thing you'd get like if you revved an engine.
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
Oh, it's so good.
really
Oh,
good.
such a good record. Backing up a little bit about like the drum thing, like you picturing like these drum things, right?
Yeah.
That record, the drummer did some very interesting things in that record by like using his hardware.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So it's like a great way to.
When I heard that track and that, I instantly had no idea what was going on.
If you're listening to this and you're curious what we're talking about, go listen to the record. Give it a spin. Give it some streams for old Jackson Browne.
Yeah, listen to all the songs, because here's the thing about that particular record with Naked Ride Home, and I can say this without a doubt. That record was written and built as a complete thought.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's such a great way to put it.
Like,
yeah.
Hey,
you're doing what I do.
I'm doing the same thing. I'm getting super excited about this record because it was so good. It was such a big instrumental part of why I wanted to get sounds and be as good, or try to be as good as I could be with doing anything with engineering, because this record proved that it could be done. Right. But yeah, this record, like, this doesn't happen anymore. The industry now is like, we're going to throw out this song as a single and see how many spins it gets, and then we're going to throw out the next one. That's the end of the thought.
Right.
It doesn't go further than that. They don't think, okay, after that song, where the audience is going to feel this way, so now we're going to bring them into this one and take them this direction for a minute, and then after that, they're going to feel this way, and then we're going to do this. That is this record. Like, they thought about like how the feeling and the emotion is going to be from the first track to the last track, so that you have like a stream of, like, it's all different. Yeah, none of it sounds the same.
But the transitions from song to song all feel natural and appropriate.
Yeah, it's so good. Okay.
That's a whole nother podcast we could get into about like the art of what we think a good flowing record is.
Yeah.
You know?
Right?
But
not that even I think it even matters anymore, but
well, I mean, it matters. I personally still enjoy when I can listen to a record top to bottom and not feel like I have to skip around or skip, the middle or whatever. Like, that's always been my thing. It's like, man, I love when I start a record and there's not one time where I feel like, I'm not digging this song, I'll skip it. Yeah. Where I just listen to it, man. And before you know it, I'm at the end of the record. I'm like, oh, that was so good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah. Anyway.
Well,
I really, were you? I've got to go cook my chicken for the week, and then I've got to play on a song for old Reed Pants.
Good share. Thanks for listening to the Good Share podcast. If you enjoyed this episode or just enjoyed the podcast in general, give us 5 stars or thumbs up or whatever it is that you can do through the apparatus that you're using. If you happen to be watching us on YouTube, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell. You can also find more content and more about the podcast at www.goodsharepodcast.com.